Amris FlexTech program. We are understanding the various fundamentals of the economic. Today we will understand the credit control and the various methods of the credit control. The agenda for this lecture is the credit control, the objective of it, the open market instrument, its meaning, usefulness and the limitations, the bank rate policy and the margin requirement. Let's start with the credit control. The credit control is one of the functions of the central bank. Credit, what do you mean by the credit first? Credit is the loan or the advances given by the central bank or the commercial bank. Credit is the source of many blessings in the modern economy, but if it will not controlled in a well manner, then it may become confusion or peril. Credit plays a predominant role in the settlement of the business transaction, and hence it should be subjected to the control. It is essential that it should be subjected to the control, and that's why there is a need for the controlling of credit. The various monetary policies are also implemented through the weapon of the credit control by the central bank. There is so much need of the credit control. Then what are the objectives of the credit control? What is the main aim of the credit control? The first is the stabilization of the general price level. The objective, the emphasis of the credit control is the stability of the value of the money, and if the value of the money is stable, then there can be the smooth operation of the transactions, and it will help to the economy and national economic welfare. The second objective of it is the stabilization of the money market. In various economies emphasize on the stabilization of the money market. In these, the demand and the supply are adjusted at all the levels. The third objective of the credit control is promoting economic growth. Credit control should conducive to economic growth. It should promote and maintain the employment level and income of the people. So this is all about the objective of the credit control. There are some methods of the credit control. It is divided mainly into the two parts. That is the quantitative or the general method of the credit control, and the second is the qualitative or the selective method of the credit control. The quantitative method, as the name itself suggests, it considers the quantity, the volume of the credit, whereas the second qualitative method emphasized on the usage of credit, that is the quality of it. Under the quantitative approach, the bank rate policy, open market operation and the variable reserve ratios are covered. Today we will understand the bank rate policy and the open market operation under the quantitative approach, whereas we understand the margin requirement under the qualitative or the selective method of the credit control. Let's start with the bank rate policy. Bank rate policy is the traditional weapon of the credit control. When the commercial bank have a shortfall of the funds, or when the commercial bank needs some cash, then they will borrow from the central bank either by the way of the rediscounting their securities or by the way of borrowing against their security. Central banks are providing funds to the commercial bank, but they are charging some interest. So the rate at which the interest is charged by the central bank for providing cash is known as the bank rate or the discount rate. Bank rate policy mainly influence the cost and the availability of credit to the members of their bank. Cost of course is the discount rate charged, whereas the availability of credit is a statutory requirement of the eligibility of bills for the rediscounting or advances. Students often confuse between the bank rate and the market rate. Bank rate is the rate at which the central bank gives credit to the commercial bank, whereas market rate is the rate at which commercial bank or the other financial institution gives credit to their customers. So there is a difference between the bank rate and the market rate. How the bank rate policy works, the method of working of the bank rate policy. Let's understand how the bank rate policy works. It is mainly known as the BRP. BRP signifies the rate of discount given by the central bank for the credit situation of the economy, to understand the credit situation of the economy. Okay, there is change in the bank rate will followed by the corresponding change in the money market rate. So if there is change in the bank rate, then the money market rate will also increase or decrease. Okay. Let's understand what is the effect of changing in the bank rate. And if there is a change in the bank rate, then the credit will become costlier or cheaper. Credit will become costlier or cheaper if there is a change in the bank rate. And this will lead to increase or decrease in the demand and supply. So this is the effect of the change in the credit bank rate. Let's understand if the bank rate will increase. If the bank rate will increase, then mainly there is the increase of the bank deposits, and the second effect is the lending rates. It will also increase. So if the bank rate will increase, then the deposits available with the commercial bank will also increase. Why it is increased? Because the bank rate, the rate given by the commercial bank to the depositors will increase. So the depositors would deposit high money. So the commercial bank have more money with them, and their cash will also increases. Okay, but their cash will increases, money with the commercial bank will increase, but at the same time they have to pay high amount because the bank rate will increase and they have to pay high amount. So can say that the borrowing of the commercial bank will become costlier. If the borrowing will become costlier, then the lending rate will also become costlier. As banks are paying, commercial banks are paying high to the depositor, they will charge high, and therefore the lending rate will increase. Lending rate will increase have the direct effect to the business and the firms. Because banks, businesses and the firms are highly dependent on the banks, as they are getting loans and advances from the banks itself. So the interest rate increase, their profit will be wiped out by the interest. So profit of their will decrease, and therefore they will decrease the employment, and it will ensue the unemployment in the economy. That will lead to decrease in the income in general. If the income will decrease, then the purchasing power of people will also decrease. And if people don't have purchasing power, then the demand for the product will also decrease, and that will lead to the downward movement in the economy. So there is the downward movement in the economy, and this will lead to the contraction of credit. But it has the exactly opposite effect if the bank rate will decrease. If the bank rate will decrease, then the business firms are interested to getting high loans from the banks, and they are also employing high people, so employment will also increase. Employment increase, the income also increase, and it will also increase the purchasing power of people, and therefore the supply of the product will also increase. So it all have the positive effect in the economy. So decrease in the bank rate will lead to the upward movement in the economy. Okay, so this is about the working method of the bank rate policy. Apart from this, it has a very good benefits. Then also this has some of the limitations. The limitations of the bank rate policies are, the first is the existence of organized and developed money market. Here in the bank rate policy, we presupposes that there is the existence of the organized and developed money market. But unfortunately, underdeveloped countries don't have organized and developed money market, and that will limit the bank rate policy. The same will happen with the second limitations, that is the existence of the well-developed bill market. There should be the existence of the well-developed bill market because there is a statutory requirement for the eligibility of bills for the rediscounting purpose. The third limitations of the bank rate policy is the bank's need for rediscounting. Commercial bank should have need for rediscounting for the efficient work of the bank rate policy. If the commercial bank have ample amount of money and they don't require money to borrow from the central bank, then this policy don't have any effect on the economy. So the bank's need for rediscounting is the must part in the bank rate policy. The fourth limitations of the bank rate policy is the practice of free exchange rate system. Here the bank rate policy assumes that there is a practice of free exchange rate system in the economy where the prices, wages, interest level is easily and readily movable, but it is not because the government's policy affect the prices, wages and the interest level. So there is no free exchange rate system. The other limitations is the business expectations. Businessmen in the boom period, businessmen are more optimistic in the boom period, and they are getting credit. They would like to get credit from the bank even if there is a high rate of interest. And in the depression period, they are very pessimistic and they would not like to get credit even if there is the low rate of interest. So the business expectation will also limit the bank rate policy. The sixth limitations of the bank rate policy is the interest inelasticity of the bank deposit. Here we assume that when there is increase in the bank rate, the deposit by the depositor will increase because they are getting high interest. But it is questionable because people or the investors are depositing their money into the bank for the safety purpose and not for the high interest purpose. They would like to get high interest, but their main purpose is the safety of their money. So this is also limit the bank rate policy. This is about the bank rate policy, that is the quantitative method of the credit control. Let's move on to the open market operations. What is open market operations? Open market operation, the central bank do the direct selling and the purchasing of the securities from the open market, and the main purpose of this is to control the volume of the credit. It is the primary means of implementing the monetary policy. How the open market operations works? Let's understand how the open market operations works. Mainly open market operations, in this the mainly two activities are done by the central bank, that is the sale of the security, and the second one is the purchase of the security. So the mainly these two activities is done by the central bank in the open market operation. So first, when they are selling the security, when the banks are selling the security, they are getting cash. Central bank will getting cash, and it will lead the decrease in the cash reserve of the commercial bank, because the amount deposited by the depositors will be invested over here in the sale because they are purchasing the security. So the cash reserves of the commercial bank will become lower, and the amount in the cash they have is become lower, so that the credit creation activity will also become lower. They create less credit because they have less amount. So the contraction of credit will happen over here. It is to control the inflation. It is used in the boom period to control the money supply in the market. If there is the purchase of security, what happens if the central bank will purchase the security? If the central bank purchases the security, then there is the expansion of the credit. As the central bank is purchasing security, the cash is going into the market, because central bank are paying cash to the commercial bank or the other who is purchasing their security. So cash is going into the market. It is used in the depression period when there is low money supply in the economy. So in these both situations, the purchasing of security is made by the central bank, and this will lead to the expansion of the credit. This is about the working method of the open market operations, in which the central bank sells or purchases the securities from the open market. What are the usefulness of the open market operations? The first is the enhance the efficacy of the bank rate. As the open market operations is complementary to the bank rate, it will help to improve the efficiency of the bank rate policy. It may be made because to made the ground for the bank rate policy. If in the open market operation, central bank would like to do the contraction of the credit when there is when they would like to control the inflation, then the bank rate will increase. So the open market operation directly affects the bank rate, and it will enhance the efficacy of the bank rate. The second usefulness of the OMO is to assist government borrowing. It is to control the prices of the government securities and to maintain the value of the government securities, and therefore central bank buys and sells, purchases and selling the securities of the government. The other usefulness of the OMO is the contracting extreme trends in the business. Central bank performing exactly opposite which the market does. When there is a depression, No one would like to buy the government security because they don't have a trust on that. So central bank purchases their security in the slack or the depression period, whereas they sell that security in the inflation period. So it will help to maintain the economic stability and the value of that security. So these all are the usefulness of the open market operations. Apart from this, it also has some of the limitations. There should be the well-developed security market. If they don't have the well-developed security market, then also it will limit to the OMO. There should not be the contradiction between the bank rate and the OMO. The restricted dealings is also the limitations of the OMO, because central bank would not like to incur high losses, and therefore they are restricted their dealings to the restricted their dealings in the short-term securities, because in the short-term securities the loss incurred by them is very less. So they are restricting their dealings, and these will limit the OMO. The other limitations is the difficulties in the executions. The purchasing of the security is very easy for the central bank because they have to just purchase the security. But the selling of security is very tough task. So the execution of it is very difficult, and this will limit to the open market operation. There are some precautions for stabilizing the government securities market, and that will also limit the open market operations. There is assumptions of the constant velocity. That means the money is constantly increases because it will go from one hand to the other hand, but actually it is not so quickly moving from one hand to other hand. And if the other disturbing factor is a fact, then only the velocity can increase, but actually it is not constantly increasing. So these all are the limitations of the open market operations. Superiority of the open market operations. How the open market operations is superior from the bank rate policy. Right? Here the OMO, that is the open market operation, is initiated by the central bank or the monetary policy. So it is under the central bank, whereas bank rate policy is maintained by and initiated by the commercial bank. Therefore, the open market operation is superior than the bank rate policy. Whereas open market operation have direct impact on the credit control, whereas bank rate policy have indirect impact on the credit control. Open market operation is for the long-term securities, whereas bank rate is for the short-term securities. So this all way the bank rate open market policy is superior from the bank rate policy. Let's move on the other, that is the qualitative approach method of the controlling credit, that is the margin requirement. Here in this margin requirement, central bank are empowered to fix the margin. The margin is fixed by the central bank. It decides the maximum amount which the purchaser of the security can borrow for loan. So it is the availability of money for loan by the purchaser of the security against those security. It is decided by the central bank. Increase or decrease in the margin requirements will lead to the less or high availability of the borrowing, of the availability of loan. Okay. margin requirement is the efficient and effective selective device. Why it is efficient and selective device? Because without stopping any other function, any other credit creation activity, it is without stopping any other credit creation activity, it helps credit creation activity like the fields of the productive fields like the agricultural sector, etc. So it will help to control the credit without stopping the credit creative activity. So this way it is the very important function and the method of the credit control of the qualitative method.